hatukukuwa tunajua mambo ya worker cooperative mpaka tukakutana na global communities. Ndio wakati wakaanza kutufundisha juu ya hii model, tukaona hii model inaweza fit sana na hii biashara yetu yenye tunafanya. Kando na hiyo, hatungeweza fanya kazi watu wawili. Sasa pia vijana walikuwa wanatuangalia, mara ya kwanza walidharau, lakini tukiendelea waliona ala, kumbe hii pesa iko hapa. Ndio wakaanza kukuja moja moja, mbili mbili. So the thing that made us do the worker cooperative, hiyo moja moja mbili mbili, ukishawachukua wakuwe team, unajua utaki mtu aende akuje leo alafu kesho aende. Unataka uretain huyu mtu na pia apate benefits more than ile wage tu anapata ile yenye analipwa. So hapo ndio tuliona wacha tuform cooperative ikuwe ukikujaga kazi kuna much more that you can gain apart from only the salary ama the wage that you get.
We found the worker cooperative model to be a good model to use and as an entry point to increase youth participation and gender mainstreaming within the cooperative ecosystem in Kenya.
As a lady, nafurahia sana kwa in Kigro kwa sababu one thing na earn imenisaidia sana neza loan saving, imenisaidia tena neza endelea na masomo yangu, nipate masomo ya juu kuliko yenye niko nayo sana.
Nilikuwa nafikiria ile design ya kitambo ile wamama wanafaaga hao ndio wa kuosha vyombo, ati wanawake wetu tu ndio wa kufanya hizo kazi kama hizo. Lakini wakati nilienda kwa hii training ilinipatia ile nikajua hizi gender zetu male na female kunafaa kuwa na equity na equality.
Nimekuwa empowered socially and economically. First of all, socially in terms of interaction na watu. Saisi kama zamani venye ungeenda tu kuongea na mtu hivi hivi, sasa unaenda with the purpose and with the meaning.
The worker cooperative model provides longer term jobs because the member is a worker and an owner. So there's job security there. We've also seen that it provides better income for the member.
Nimefaidika, naweza lipa nyumba on time, kisha pia naweza save kwa hiyo amount pia napata. Yaani naweza sema tu niko na income tu mahali.
Watu walikuwa wanatoroka sana. Unapata mtu anakuja kazi leo, anawacha kazi kesho. Lakini sasa unaona kwa hiyo worker cooperative, mtu atatoa monthly subscription na atatoa membership na bado atakuwa analipwa kwa kazi.
I believe Kenya is at a very great moment right now for the cooperative movement, and more specifically for the worker cooperative model. Given the advancements within the policy and legislative space to entrench the worker cooperative model and recognize it, as well as having pilot worker cooperatives that are ready to advocate for the needs of the worker cooperative and promotion of the same in the country.
Tulikuwa tunaitwa chokora, mpaka mimi nilikuwa narudi nyumbani naulizwa kwani ulienda shule juu ya nini jamani? Na hii kazi ya machokora hii hata hahitaji shule, unaona? Lakini saa hii vile tunaongea saa hii hawatuiti chokora. Saa hii wanatuita Kigro na tumepata jina kulingana na hii kazi vile tuliichukua serious.
Good morning. We are now ready to kick off the program of the day. My name is Martin Mbaya. I'll be your MC for the day. I want to welcome you warmly to Strathmore University on behalf of the entire Strathmore community. My seniors are also present here, and they will do a more formal welcome. I want to recognize the presence of key actors from the cooperative sector. led by Director Kizito Wangalwa on behalf of the government of Kenya. We also have Madam Daisy B, who's an advisor on cooperatives in the President's Economic Transformation Office. Karibu sana, Madam. We have the Executive Director and CEO of the Cooperative Alliance of Kenya, Bwana Daniel Marube. Karibu sana. We have Professor Isaac Nyamongo, DVC, Cooperative University of Kenya. And a little bit later, we'll be expecting the Principal Secretary Cooperatives, Bwana Patrick Kilemi. We've got multiple delegations from various counties, and I want to recognize the presence of all county executive committee members overseeing the cooperatives docket, the chief officers, the directors of cooperatives, the technical officers, and any other officers from the county governments. Karibuni sana hapa Strathmore. And all actors within the cooperative sector that I may have missed from the academic realm, from the realm of practice, Karibuni nyote. And finally, I also recognize the presence of your hosts, Professor Isael da Silva, who's our Deputy Vice Chancellor overseeing research, and Dr. George Njenga, who's the founding Dean of Strathmore University Business School. Karibuni sana. To kick off the program, we will start with an opening prayer and national anthem. I'll therefore request Father Paul Mimbi to help kick off the event with an opening prayer, and then we'll do the national anthem. Karibu, Father Paul.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Could you stand up now for that reflection? I want to call it a prayer reflection rather than just purely prayer. I call it prayer reflection because when the stakeholders of this, in other words, Strathmore Business School, together with the USAID and all the others, carried out a survey of the counties, they discovered certain gaps. I was intrigued to find out the main gap is a dearth of understanding. In fact, they express it as follows: low levels of understanding of the public policy making process, low level of understanding of the work cooperative business model, and so on. So that's going to be like the theme of our reflection. Two friends at a table in restaurant and bar. One is a well-known academic, who's a philosopher, thinker. I think this took place in France. They revel a lot in thinking. The other friend was just a good professional, a hands-on and very down-to-earth man. They discussed the state of affairs of the world at large. Our world has fallen in bad times, the philosopher says. But I have an idea. I have a solution. An idea that will help transform everything for the better. The friend interjects, the down-to-earth friend interjects. Yet here is a better idea, a better one. A better one? You're not even a thinker. Yes, a better one. Listen, if you want to transform the world, get yourself killed on a Friday and rise on a Sunday. The silence was deafening. He realized that his friend was suggesting that he be Christ. He was suggesting that he tried to imitate him, not to invent the wheel. At least in his hidden life, his ordinary life, which is clearly accessible to all and sundry. And then the world will begin to change. Indeed, my dear brothers and sisters, the world crisis is a crisis, a shortage of Christ-like people. So we want to turn to our Lord now, because He told us, I'm a priest, I can tell you as much. He told us, wherever 2 or 3 of you are gathered, I'm right there in your midst. So we want to turn to Him in this reflection and prayer and ask Him, Lord, what was your secret? 3 things He will tell us. Allow yourself to be taught. Don't be a know-it-all. Let yourself be accompanied, guided, and then try to be last. And then we tell our Jesus, how counterintuitive. And all these veritable signs of weakness, yet the approach has defied all opposition. It has proven to work over the years. So the Lord will tell us, take your time, reflect. Let yourself be taught. I am the wisdom of the Father, yet I was among my loved ones in Nazareth as the one who learns. Always learning. I was taught the family tradition by Joseph, my father. I was taught how to speak by my mother Mary. Just imagine how my father Joseph would get hold of the Torah and teach me family traditions. And yet I was the protagonist of the epic narrative. I am the protagonist. And I would sit humbly and listen. Let yourself be guided, be accompanied. I am the way, the truth, and the life. Yet I obeyed my father Joseph and my mother Mary. Just imagine how my mother one morning would ask me, Jesus, son, we've run out of milk. When did you get out of the house? You run, then turn left and right, and there'll be a long string of kiosks. The first kiosk, no. The third, no. The fourth one, which is green, belongs to Mama Salome. Tell her to give you milk on credit. We have arrangement with her. And I would get out of the house running to obey my mother. And yet, sometimes I knew the way because I've got Google Map in my head. But I would obey my mother. I would have told her, look, you know what, Mom, Mama Salome has run out of milk. But I would give the example to obey my mother, running out. Be the last. My state is divine, totally one with my Father God. Yet in my family at Nazareth, everybody considered me last, after my father Joseph and my mom Mary. And I was okay with that. Strange as it may seem, this is my strategy. And it works. It works. It works. So many changed lives. So many saints. Such a transformation at the root. And by the way, the world is getting better. Even though the devil's making so much noise, to the opposite effect. Everything is getting better. So much change in the hearts of men. So go and do the same yourself. And so we ask Jesus to help us with his mother to learn this strategy, this method, which is similar to getting killed on a Friday and rising on a Sunday. That's what changes the world, not philosophies. That's why we want to, whatever we're going to learn today, in this particular conference, we want to commit it to God to help us so we can transform our country. It stands in need of transformation. So many people are discouraged. I talk to people, but we can't change it. in Strathmore, we believe in that. In the name of the Father, Son, the Holy Spirit. Amen.
Thank you very much, Father Paul, for that reflection and for those deeper philosophical insights learning from Christ. Next, we're going to have the national anthem, so I'll request us to stand once again. The national anthem, also a prayer, and I'll request the team at the back to assist with that.
Mashariki, tuwezeshe kuishi kwa amani, tutimize na malengo yetu. Jumuiya yetu sote tuilinde, tuajibike, tuimarike. Umoja wetu ni nguzo yetu, idumu jumuiya yetu.
Thank you very much. You may have your seats. It's now 9:57 a.m., so we are running about 50 minutes behind schedule. I will aim to see how we can recoup that time. It's my pleasure to invite for the official opening ceremony introduction and welcome remarks on behalf of Strathmore, Professor Israel Da Silva. Karibu sana.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to Strathmore University. I am not the boss. The boss is somewhere, I think either flying from this city to Nairobi or somewhere in between, but I am here representing him, Vice Chancellor Dr. Vincent Ogut. So, and I am Da Silva, the Deputy Vice Chancellor, Research and Innovation. So, yes, that's why I am here. Now, before coming to Strathmore, I was for 13 years in Makerere University in Uganda. And then talk well about Uganda when you are around me, because I'm also a Ugandan, you know. Museveni has given me a passport, and it was a lot nicer to climb Kilimanjaro and pay the same as the Tanzanians, you know. Yes, which I did. So when I came here from Kampala in 2010, our Vice Chancellor, Professor John Odhiambo, then, told me, we want two things from you. One, you are an engineer, so you can start a school of engineering here. Okay. And then the second one is, please put us in the map of the green universities, you know, globally. So, well, yeah. I had to say yes. I wanted to come here, you know. So I said yes. Yes, I said yes. And then, anyway, it is interesting to report. You see, they say the blood of the soldiers make the captain look good. Yes. So whatever I tell you here is not me, but you see, my people, our team, because we got to start a school of engineering and computer, and we have a Bachelor of Science in Electric and Electronic Engineer, which is in its third year, and it is approved already by Commission for University Education, but is also approved by EBK, Engineering Board of Kenya. And really I commend my people for that, because this degree is the first degree approved by the engineers in a private university. It's number one, yeah. And well, we thank God for that. And the idea is to create this degree has a mission. Yeah, we have mainstreamed there a P for planet. Yeah, we have perhaps the greenest degree in electrical engineering around here. First of all, is because we try to do things. The topic of this meeting that we are here today, you can see there, policy to action, isn't it? Actually the secret, yeah? Have to act. We have to act. Because there is a group, of course, very famous, called NATO. It's not North Atlantic Treaty Organization, that one we know. But NATO is a group called No Action, Talk Only. Yes. I was appointed the UNESCO Chair for Climate Change Resilience and Sustainability, and then I was given a ticket to go to Sharm el Sheikh in Egypt last year. We were about 35,000 people in a compound there. I can tell you, people can talk, and talk nicely. But I get a bit scared with the talking, because the KRA is not interested in talking. They do not charge, yeah? You can talk, yes. If you do something, albeit small, they will come for the 30%, you know? But talk free. So what we had to do was to make this university a green university. So I don't know if you knew, but we have here a 6 megawatt of solar energy, the 2,400 panels around in 6 buildings, and all these lights you are seeing here are powered by the sun. It happened on 24th of June 2014. It's going to be 10 years. And I tell you, the sun has become a very good employee of ours. Yeah, in all these almost 10 years, he has never missed one day. As all 6:30 is there. Though it goes away at 6:30 in the evening, you know, but he's there. Then, nobody in his family has died. So there was no burial. Yeah. So this is, of course, it's a joke, but it is something that made me really change my name. I am now called Kamau Wasola. Yeah. And guess what? We do research, we do quality control and standards, and we train people on that. More than 4,500 engineers and technicians have been trained by ourselves here in a place called SEC, Strathmore Energy Research Center. And this is action. You see, this changes the lives of people. And then I want to challenge you who are listening to me that you also become an actor, not an observer. Don't join NATO. Those who join NATO, they become Nazi. That is no action, zero impact. Yeah. So please don't. Yeah. So this is what we have done to streamline, to mainstream the 17 SDGs, for instance. They are here, we teach them to our undergrad. And we are in love with the 3 that Dr. Jenga is also in love with. It's called the 2 for end hunger. 6, 2, that's SDG number 2. Number 6 is water. And number 7 is affordable, clean, and reliable energy. So with 7 you get 6, with 6 you get 2. And then you see, Electricity pumps water, water brings irrigation, irrigation brings food to our plate. So this is something that you should keep close to your heart. Yeah, so of course, United Nations, they sit here in Gigiri. So they saw that we had gone green, that we also began building green buildings. I think Dr. George Jenga will show you. He's the fellow of our Strathmore Business School. So his building, which is just here, we don't have air conditioning. We use water evaporation cooling systems, which is 10 times cheaper than air conditioning. You know, when you get a fan blowing on a cloth with water, that is, there is evaporation, and that is an endothermic reaction. It grabs heat from the environment. So you go in there, it looks like a greenhouse. You expect to be very hot, but kumbi, it is just 4 to 5 degrees cooler than outside. And it is cheap, you see. So they are there. We also have a cistern or 30,000 liters. We collect all rainwater, put there, and then it help to make our gardens look good, you know. Yeah, but you have to walk the talk. These buildings, they follow the standards of LEED. LEED is Leadership in Energy and Environment Design. It's an institution in the United States. So we copy. It is allowed to copy. You see, they call it reverse engineering. It is okay, yes. So, so once the kids go there, they can see it, they live it, it's part of them, and then it's transformational. After 40 years here, they should be joining my Kamawa Solar team. Yeah? So anyway, and today you are meeting here as cooperatives for development. It is very important. It is a lot more important than, of course, talking. That's why I thought, let me tell them, cooperatives, go solar. Go solar for health and wealth. There is a small story, very short, but I like telling because it will be in your brain like a brain tattoo. There is an institution here called Toyota. They call themselves now CFAO, isn't it? You know. Now they were purely Japanese, but now they are Japanese and French. Yes? Now what happens? They have 4 kinds of business. One of them, the main one, 60% of their business is mobility. Yeah, you buy your VX, you have to take it for service, isn't it? Original parts Toyota. Then they give you a 6-digit bill. That's it. But now, electric mobility is coming, isn't it? So they say, well, if by 2030 we shall stop internal combustion engines and go electricity, wow, the maintenance is going to go down because an electric car has about 100 parts, whereas an internal combustion engine has 1,000 parts. So mathematically, it could be that they are going to be making 10 times less, from 60 go to 6. So what did they say? Now, why don't we then invest in infrastructure? We put solar in all, you have showroom, workshop, isn't it? Showroom, you can see here near Carrefour. We put there, they have 0.5 mega of power there, and they are not paying any shilling to Kenya Power. You see, even in Strathmore, once we discovered that we could become an IPP, that is independent power producer, we registered. Strathmore is an independent power producer. Can you imagine? And we sell power to the utility. And every quarter, we charge them. We go there and say, LIPA. You can't imagine how nice it is to get, it can have a paying, and in dollars, 12 cents of a dollar per kilowatt hour. So this, I want you to follow me also and do action. Because you, wherever you are, today in Kenya, you can produce your own kilowatt hour, which is a unit of energy, cheaper than what the utility charges you. Yeah, don't do it alone. Huh? Ask for some ESCO. ESCO is an electricity service company. There are many. Huh? Disclosure, I even have some shares in one. Yes. Now, that one was seen by Toyota, CFAO, as a strategic investment. So they bought 35% of our company and now told us 37 countries in Africa, and you don't come there and say, good afternoon, I'm from Kenya and I am from No. Says, my brother, how are you? Greetings from Tokyo, greetings from Paris. How are you? Fine. Should we go zero carbon emission? The guy says yes. So we have put it powered already in Kenya, in Uganda, we are in the middle of Congo, Zambia, and in South Africa, more than 100 representatives. So we are going to go there and green, you see. So you can do that. It is a no-brainer. There are even people who say, just give me the roof. I put the things there. When you pick your thing from here with a PPA, power purchase agreement, you don't pay. Just pay this electricity from here. Now, difference is that it's 20% cheaper than the utility. I hope my good friend get annoyed, but that's reality. We are going from decarbonization, using decentralization, digitalization. That is it. So thank you so much for being here. And there was one word by Dr. Jenga to me this morning. It says, allow cooperatives to go solar, because then we will have impact, we will help people to make a better living, to be able to buy busuchi for madam and pay the school fees for the children. Yes. So he is telling me to say something here. Very good. So he is giving me, I thought I was finishing, but he has given me some task. He says I am about half. Yeah, so so the idea of the koroboi, don't allow your grandmother this Christmas to use koroboi, or the auntie in up country. No. Yeah, they have to go into a Pico system that you buy in Carrefour, yeah, USB port, take her Mulika Muizi and give her a smartphone. She will send you a photo of the goat she wants you to eat in Christmas. Yeah. So that is being an actor, you know. Yes. So now I am very bad at protocol because I'm from Brazil. In Brazil, we don't have much use for protocol. But here, it has to be, otherwise you are found guilty, isn't it? So, you know. Yes, Honorable Chizito is there. If I don't say that he is there and I appreciate, I'm sorry. Yes, so I need to, Honorable Chizito, thank you for coming to our Green Campus and gracing this event, which is really, really very important for this country. And I know where you sit, and I know your power. So thank you so much. I also have to recognize Madame B, Daisy. Yeah, we were exchanging some ideas also before at breakfast. She's the advisor office for the president in issues related with the cooperative. So thank you for being here, Madam. Thank you for your time. Then, Mr. Wanjohi, Director, State Department of Cooperative. Thank you so much for being also here with us. And then my colleague, Professor Isaac Niamongo, is the DVC Cooperative University. Again, we I was challenged by him because he says, look, you have too many agreements with people outside of Kenya, but we are here, and I agree. Definitely, we need to do things together at local level, and then we go together and we apply for grants from the EU and US aid. And then, of course, I have to recognize US aid. You know, that story I told you that you can go anywhere in this country, you find people who are able to design, install, and maintain solar systems, is because of US aid. They gave us some time back some support to train people in technical training institutions. We got 25 of them. We got 2 people from each. They became 50. We brought them here, and we taught them how to design, install, and maintain solar, even if you live in Kilifi or Trans Nzoia, you know, Bungoma, etc. So this is what actually we are grateful to USAID. And then another assignment they gave us was to train women in solar installation. So we trained 65 women about 5 years ago. Now they create an institution called WISE. WISE stands for Women in Sustainable Energy and Entrepreneurship. They are there. You can look for them. And if you are a woman, you know, we want you in leadership in the solar industry as well. Very well.
Permanent Secretary has just arrived, Killian Richard.
Okay. Thank you very much. I was told, Your Excellency, that you are here. Thank you so much. I was telling them that they didn't come here to listen to me, but to yourself. Yes. So thank you. Now that you are here, I can rest my tools. So the only thing I want to tell you before I leave is that we have a firm belief in something called triple helix. Triple helix means you use the power of the government, you use the power of academia, and use the power of private sector. Those 3 together are like the 3 pieces of a puzzle. When you put them together, voila, you get success. One example of it is Silicon Valley in California. Government makes soft landing. Land for 40 years for free, the lease. Then this tax you can waive, we bring your things here. Of course, when they do this soft landing, people from the private sector come, isn't it? The Apples and Lenovos and the Amazons and Googles, etc. There. Now, they need brains. What do? They go to Caltech Academy, they go to MIT, they go to Carnegie Mellon, etc. They pick those brains and they are there. Now what happens? Everybody profits and there's progress, you see? Yeah. In one day, these people from iPhone, they launched iPhone 15 the other day. Then 60 million units are sold. The money goes to which country? Isn't it? So demands are more than reward from the soft launch they did, isn't it? But then, again, government has to be there because any change that is made, if it is to be perpetuated, you have to put laws and regulations, isn't it? So who are the laws and regulations? Our people. They have to be there. You cannot afford to do things without the government. And finally, private sector, which is the most sustainable institution in this country today. It's called Safaricom. Why? Because they are making a lot of money, but more than all the banks put together. You know that? Yeah. And making money is an ugly name for sustainability. So I am sure our governor, represented here by Kilemi Richard from the Ministry of Cooperative, will help us so that the academia, the private sector, and the government and the academia and will be together and we will make this thing a success. So thank you very much, and forget not about NATO. And thank you.
Thank you very much, Professor Kamau Israel da Silva. I'd like to recognize the presence of Principal Secretary Cooperatives, Honorable Patrick Kilemi, karibu sana. And I'd also like to recognize the presence of the Assistant Commissioner Cooperative Development and Head of Policy within the State Department, Bwana Peter Wanjohi, who had been with us from much earlier. Karibu sana. Next, it's my pleasure to invite the founding dean of the business school, Dr. George Njenga. He's currently the chief of party, USAID Strategic Partnerships, formerly the Kenya Small Business Development Center. Karibu, Dr. Njenga.
Good morning and welcome, my Deputy Vice Chancellor and Dean, who is in Atlanta and is coming back here. Welcome to Strathmore. Especially proud to see Patrick Kilemi. I've been longing to see you. Now you are here. Thank you very much. This is very beautiful. Bwana Kizito Wangalwa, very good to be with you here. My Deputy Vice Chancellor. Madam Daisy B, shukran. You're already working with us, isn't it? And then Bwana Wanjohi, I call him Kiama Kiama. I think it's the Assistant Commissioner, isn't it? So in order of protocol, anyway, don't worry. Here in Strathmore, we are learning protocol. I am afraid you have to forgive us thoroughly, but really honored for you to be here. Another man who is so important for us in a very special way is Bwana Marube, because I know that this is, you're my direct partner, Bwana Marube, as the chief of party of the USAID strategic partnership. And one of the things we are doing is enhancing the research and capacity of the cooperatives on the ground, first of all, to increase in membership, in their strategy, and in their policy analysis, and also to speak to the county integrated development plan, and to question the county budgets and financial planning bills, so that they participate in the decision making at the county level and go straight to the ward. This also includes Kenya National Chamber of Commerce and other business alliances. How can KEPSA be here? How can the associations of association, ASNET, just be here in Nairobi? They stay here in Nairobi. Nobody knows the secrets of Baragoi or Samburu or Marsabit. They never live here, so they don't know what is happening to cooperatives. There are those people who have no idea of cooperatives. And so with you, I can walk 1,000 miles. And I want to say I'm just so glad about that. Okay, I also wanted to recognize Father Dr. Engineer Paul Mimbi. You had his reflection. He's a good priest. He's the chaplain of the department called Strathmore University Business School. I am sure there is protocol. Isaac Nyamongo, the Deputy Vice Chancellor of Cooperative University of Kenya, another partner of ours, because we have to go out together into the regions and into all the counties. Okay, so today, back in 2018, 2019, we were, who is representing USAID other than myself? I don't know whether somebody came from USAID. So a little bit of background, which is very, very important, is that USAID has been doing the CLEAR program, okay, which is a public policy making process learning forum. And the CLEAR program is aimed at understanding, learning, and putting into action policy of cooperatives. But what policy, especially, and here we are talking about the ministry, what policy and what cooperatives? This is the core questions. But when we started it for the Ministry of Cooperatives then. As you know, the Ministry of Cooperatives is the most silent department of government. Whenever a budget has to be cut, it is the Ministry of Cooperatives. Whenever policy is to be designed, you never hear of the Ministry of Cooperatives. Anyway, what happened was that COVID happened in 2020. But we didn't stop the program. Bwana PS, we went ahead with the program online. And we covered 244 cooperative sector actors across government, industry, and academia. Again, we are talking about people who make policy, who put policy into action. I remember also people from way outside Africa coming into that policy, but from a health perspective. So I'm not including the health perspective here. I'm just talking about the 25 counties in Kenya. I thank the USAID in my deepest of hearts for having taught us those things. What we realized is that the counties where we were helping the members of the county cooperative department set up policies, it is evident. I don't want to go into those details because you'll find them in the brochure and I don't want to take more time. It is evident what that priest stood here and said, that my people perish for ignorance. We would love that today those members who attended that program tell you what they experienced. They were in groups. They would discuss, come back online, talk to the lecturers. They're the first ones to understand policy. Now this is situated in the Strathmore Institute of Public Policy and Governance. And since we did it online all the time during that COVID year, today we decided, why don't we meet face to face and really talk one-on-one? And you're being here, Principal Secretary. You're being here, Council of Governor, Advisor, Madam B, Wajohi, Commissioner, Marube, Council of Cooperatives to represent, Professor. This is a point where I really need to tell you that 22 counties participated, 28 counties trained, 21 counties supported the draft county co-op legislations. Out of all those people, 60% of the respondents have participated in policy making. 47 of the respondents had participating in drafting laws in the counties. 80% stated that they had an excellent meeting at personal learning and creating objectives within the county. 78% of the attendants stated, that course they received, which is thanks to our e-learning policy in Strathmore, which, by the way, kicked in 2 days after COVID. COVID was announced like this. I think it was the 15th, then the 17th we woke up to the COVID. I don't remember the actual days. I think it was Italy closed on the 12th of March 2020. On the 15th, the country was closed down. But on the 15th, the master's programs were already online. And it went to only one little principle that the management of the university chose. We promised the students they are going to graduate this year. Come what may, they must graduate. We promised them we would teach them. We must teach them. So I'm telling you, I was dean then. In 2 days, we were online. So I want to tell you that this CLEAR is something we want to extend deeply into the 47 counties. And with your help, Bwana Principal Secretary, you will have your time to speak. I don't want to say much more. We will talk a lot more about this and how we can extend this. As you know, it is one of the most important strategic activities and visions of the of His Excellency the President William Samoei Arap Ruto. And I support it fully. I summarize by saying that in Strathmore, one of the things we do is we just don't remain here. We are we are in the counties. So right now we are going, by the end of this month, we will be in 8 counties or 9. We've already set up the small development centers, which includes cooperatives in Mombasa, Makueni, Isiolo, Kiambu, Nakuru, and Kisumu. We are adding Kakamega, Busia, and hopefully, I hope I said Mombasa, and hopefully after that, we will go to 2 others. For instance, I think we may include Kilifi, but I'm not too sure right now. And we have set up a model that can be replicated across the 47 counties. Personally, so here again in Strathmore, you don't grow if you do not demonstrate personal leadership and responsibility. Personally, I have gone to Turkana, and I've set up the Golden Valley Livestock Cooperative, which was like setting up from zero. So how do you set up cooperatives with the pastoralists who walk those 47 kilometers? Well, you go to them, you go to the elders under the tree. So I've traveled the whole of Turkana up to Lokichogio. I haven't gone to that town, a little bit to the border. I forget its name. That's the only place I have not gone. But up to Lokichogio I have gone. But I am working mainly in this sector. Now you know this sector, what it is called. Who knows what it is called? This sector here. What is this sector called? Okay, it's called the Sukuta Valley. Now it is a sub-county. It has a sub-county in the middle of Sukuta Valley. Have you heard of Kapedo? Well, Kapedo is here. Okay, and Lomelo is here, the former district, well, it's not district, it's the sub-county division. And that is the place where most of the conflicts of the people around there happen, especially Turkanas, and then to the east is where the Samburus are. And, you know, I just went from village to village, meeting the elders under the tree, asking them only one question. The way I see it, you have land, but it has no value. You have animals, but you don't control the market. You have minerals under the ground, but you have no control of the minerals under the ground. You have the brightest men and women I've ever seen in my life, and I told the same to the Pokots of Tiati. I've slept there in Tiati, Silale, in a place called Siale where Elder Yolei sits. I slept in his house. You sleep in a reed bed. And you know, I told them, where are your women? Where are your children? What are you doing? How do you come together? What is your plan for this land that you have that is so beautiful? You know, in the end, what happened? They formed the Golden Valley Cooperative. It is in Turkana East. The elders have given 2,000 acres of land to start the project immediately. And do you know what the membership to the cooperative is? The membership to the cooperative is a she-goat or a sheep, but there we call them buzi. Why did we choose that and not money as membership? Because we know that culturally, when you go under the tree, the goat is the cultural basis, not cash. If you tell them cash, it doesn't mean anything to them, Mr. Principal, Secretary. But if you tell them you're going to put a goat in there, it's amazing. So now, we are now working to get the land allotment. So I am going to be there soon to work with the Ministry of Lands. Sad part about all these people. And this makes me cry. Here I have the commissioner of the cooperatives. Here I have the principal secretary. Here I have USAID. None of them will go to do that work. None of them will fund that work. It is Strathmore that has given me permission, and out of my salary from Strathmore, I put a quarter of my salary to do that work. I have to fund it myself because nobody believes in it. Now today I want to tell you something, that it is possible. I've gone through that journey, all of it, where the guns are blaring, and in fact my partner, who was my student, who made me go there, Madam Mary Kanyamane Kai, was shot dead in the process, point blank by the court. But we didn't fear, because death has to come once. But we went, and I realized we can transform this society. We can transform it. Now, watu ni wakali. Pale Kapedo, do you know what they have done? The cooperative members. Wamechukua ile PDQ, unajua PDQ? Ile kitu ya kuweka kadi. So they have got the Equity Bank and the KCB Bank. Of course I've had to fund it with the first money, 300,000. Now they're taking, what do you call that money that is given to elders? Inua Jamii. So you see, all those elders in Sukuta cannot walk 70 kilometers, especially if you come from a place like Nakutan, Ngilukia. You can't walk 75 kilometers to go be told by a government official that your ID is not correct and your names are not. Those guys have never seen these things. So now, the members of the cooperative have taken those PDQs. We have put out the first amount of money, and now we are serving more than 4,000 people there with PDQs so that they can acquire their Inua Jamii. Cooperatives, you can transform these countries. I said that because that is not part of my speech, but I also wanted to tell you that, yes, we are not just talking. We are there with you where you are. And the next stage, in the next 3 years, we want to work with you to convert all that. With that, Bwana, where is the Bwana MC? Bwana MC Martin, asante sana, ninawashukuru sana. So Bwana Principal Secretary, these are the CECs, the bosses of the counties. So hata ukiona wako wachache na upandii hawajajaa, hii ndio your power, at least in those 21 countries and in your ministry. Sawa sawa, sasa hii ni shule. Usifikirie ni watu wadogo. Hao watu, they represent very many people on the ground. Very, very many. Thousands upon thousands. Asante sana na karibu, na nyinyi nyote karibuni.
Thank you very much, Dr. Njenga, for that perspective spanning both the academic experience here at Strathmore, as well as the program you oversee within USAID strategic partnerships. I request everybody to look at their programs just to give you a sense of where we are. As I get a different microphone, the battery on this one is low. So we have received remarks from Dr. Njenga on behalf of USAID Strategic Partnerships. We have a few more speakers slated for this morning's session. Next we'll be hearing from Olga, who represents global communities. And thereafter we'll proceed in the order. The one change is where we have remarks from USAID. We will hear from Madam Diana Kendi, CEC Nyeri, who will give us the voice of the counties that are present here. Olga, on behalf of Global Communities, karibu.
Asante sana, Martin. No problem. It's such an honor to be here, and after speaking after such a wonderful, it's difficult to speak after such a wonderful orator, but I'll try. Our PS, Patrick Ilemi, our director, Bwana Kizito Wangalwa, our DVC, Madam Daisy from the President's Economic Transformation Office, Bwana Wanjohi from State Department, the Commissioner's Office and Head of Policy, Bwana Daniel Marube, Executive Director and CEO of Cooperative Alliance of Kenya, and our DVC and Head of Research, Professor Isaac Nyamongo from Cooperative University, and of course, Professor Njenga, our very good friend, and our DVC from Strathmore, sorry, Bwana Kamau Wasola, our CECs, chief officers, directors, my colleagues, all protocols observed. Good morning. Thank you so much. Tuliwaita mukaitika mwito, and our PS, this now forms the end of a journey in our policy training, which we collaborated with Strathmore University Business School. And I say the end because, as Professor said, we were ready to go out into 6 regions to call the trainees from the counties. And then COVID hit us. And Strathmore was ready to pivot, to go online. Global Communities was ready to pivot, counties bado. So we then embarked on a journey with the county governments of trying out Zoom. Our first month was hilarious. Mute, turn off the camera. And because it was lockdown, people were far away, in the village. So you see cows and everything. But we adjusted, adapted, and everyone finished. 264 officers completed the course and graduated. It was a 40-hour course with academic rigor that required them to make sure that they were present. And we thank God for all of you who were able to do that. Congratulations for making it this far. In every cohort, we had 6 cohorts, and in every cohort, we had about 60 participants, give or take. And at the end, whenever they were graduating, in ceremonies that were graced by various governors, everyone kept saying, after COVID, we need to meet. After COVID, tunataka kuonana. Some people have been so used to my voice and my email, they were seeing me today. Huyu ndio Olga. So mimi ndio Olga, and thank you for taking the journey with us. So allow me to just share a little bit about global communities in general, because a lot of us know about the USAID CLEAR program. Global Communities has been in existence for 60 years. We work in over 25 countries across 5 continents. And in Kenya, we have 4 programs running. We have the CLEAR program, which has brought us here today. We have an app, one called AfriScout. AfriScout is a technology app. We do that program in the ASAL areas, where we use a technology app to identify grazing land, and now we're moving into regenerative grazing practices. We also have agribusiness investment for market stimulation, AIMS, which has also been progressing well. So the USAID CLEAR program, just a few facts about us. We are funded by the USAID, and we are part of what is called the Cooperative Development Project. And this Cooperative Development Project has about 10 implementing partners globally, but in Kenya we are 3. Global Communities, NCBA CLUSA, and World Council of Credit Unions. So for Global Communities, our mandate was clear, and we were organized in 3 objectives. The first being to support the improvement of the business enabling environment for cooperatives. The second is to improve cooperative business performance. And the third is to improve the system and networks for education amongst cooperators. So to do this, we crafted the program in such a way that in this program where we are here today, this is part of the policy work. And this is what now, this is where we are at. But as CLEAR program comes to an end, I'd like to just acknowledge the team here. Our Chief of Party, Madam Ashley Holst, who is based in Washington, DC. We have Pamela Kaburu present here. We have Mike Kipungeno at the back, and Tindi Sitati supporting us online. And this is just part of the team that's here at the end of the program, towards the end of the program. And allow us to just clap for them because they've really worked hard. But it's prudent for us to acknowledge that any success that we see today rides on the shoulders of those who dared to go ahead of us, those who dared to dream ahead of us. So even for our colleagues who left us initially but were part of this program, I'd like to also acknowledge and honor them because it's on their shoulders that we stand here today. So under CLEAR's first objective, we designed and implemented the public policy making process. When we started off, we're told go out into the counties. It's a devolved function. And so we began to consult with different stakeholders at county and at national level to just try and get an indication of where are we. And when we consulted with some of the counties, they're saying, yes, it's a devolved function, but it's not clear. Na mimi maneno ya policy, I don't understand. So we embarked on doing a baseline study in the counties. And we sent out the baseline to 33 counties, 28 counties. We got 28 responses from 22 counties. Our M&D specialist is giving me the eye. And in those responses, that's where we realized that there were gaps in understanding and of the roles. And there was that point where the understanding of a devolved function meant you don't relate with State Department at all at that point. And so that's also the point at which the State Department was working on the national policy. So what we also embarked on doing was designing this course, and we put out a bid, an RFP, and Strathmore won the bid, and we began to co-create this public policy making process training. What was interesting about the co-creation process, we weaved in the worker cooperative model, we weaved in so many other aspects, gender mainstreaming for cooperatives and the like. And this made the coursework more rich and robust. But that was not enough. We collaborated with Council of Governors and asked them, we have a small budget as a program. Programs pilot things, but governments have the capacity to scale them. So Council of Governors gave us a challenge. In order to be able to reach the 47 counties, why don't you support us to develop a model cooperative policy, model cooperative bill, model cooperative regulations that are aligned with the national cooperative policy and the national bill. And we're like, okay, challenge taken. But we said we won't do it as global communities, as ourselves, as USAID CLEAR. What did we do? We got on board the best of the best consultants to go through, to come up with a draft. They peer reviewed it amongst themselves, our legal experts. After peer reviewing, we called, through the COG, we called directors. Give us your views on this. You're the ones, you're the technical officers. They gave us input. We called county attorneys. Mawakili, let us know, what are your thoughts? It went through the rigor, chief officers, and finally CECs, and thereafter the committee, the technical committee in charge of cooperatives at COG approved the model policies and framework. Ladies and gentlemen, allow me to introduce you to Mr. Bobby Mkangi and Mudhoni Njoroge. Please stand up. We acknowledge you for the legal rigor you've given in this process. Asanteni sana. You'll be hearing more from them later. But beyond that, we worked very closely with Bwana Njohi when we were part of the task force and the State Department to develop to provide technical assistance in drafting the national bill. This very same team, Bwana PS, they spent nights on end turning around documents and stakeholder inputs to be able to get the bill where it is today, and we're happy it's before Cabinet. And our second pillar, improving cooperative business performance. We looked at the trajectory in Kenya. Our agri-cooperatives have been doing very well, many programs funding and supporting that. The next level, the SACCOs are also doing well and very robust. And we said, where do we get an entry point for youth and women? And the worker cooperative model was our soft landing. In fact, there are some meetings, people see me and then they'll start saying, and worker cooperatives, when they forget to mention worker cooperatives. But Bwana PS and Bwana Director, I'm happy to mention that we have 10 worker cooperatives registered and that we've supported technically and in depth. Our DVC, Kamau Wasola, mentioned WISE. WISE Cooperative, the Women in Sustainable Energy and Entrepreneurship, has also been a beneficiary of our programming and have been really at the forefront, working very closely with the Cooperative Alliance of Kenya and advocating for the worker cooperative model. In the picture on your screen, that's Kigro Recyclers. These are youth from the informal settlements who came together and formed a garbage collection and waste recycling worker cooperative. And we have many others in the building and construction, water supply, automotive repair. And so I implore all of you, give worker cooperatives a chance. In our interactions with the counties, Bwana PS, some of them, as we described the worker cooperative model, said, in fact, there's a housing cooperative, we registered, but they're actually a worker cooperative. There's a multipurpose cooperative, but they're actually a worker cooperative. And I hope that now, with the worker cooperative being anchored in the national policy and the national bill, and the State Department has model bylaws, that we will now incorporate the worker cooperative models in our counties and include our youth. And our third objective, in our second objective, worker cooperative model, we wondered, how can we deepen this further? After clear ends, who will advocate for this model? Professor Nyamongo had been writing very interesting articles in the dailies. And at some point, he spoke about worker cooperatives and we're like, we had our light bulb moment. So we engaged with CUK very closely and collaborated in the development of curriculum for the worker cooperative model in collaboration with the Democracy at Work Institute. So now there's a course domiciled at Cooperative University of Kenya and available for all who want to learn, for students, faculty, and county officers, as well as the State Department. And our third objective, how are we going to improve learning and research? So in Matters Learning, we realized that, even in most boardrooms, there are very few women when it comes to the cooperative sector. So we said, let's go ahead and develop a good governance and gender equity guide. And we had our technical specialist then who developed this guide. We have a number of gender champions from within the movement and also within the counties who've been trained and on this manual. And this manual is available. There's a QR code in your bag. There's a QR code where if you scan it, you'll get all the documents available there and reports. And because we're just coming from the climate summit, we chose to save trees where we could. But in Matters Research, because research is what informs the future, and Professor Njenga spoke a little bit about it, we engaged with many institutions, and DVC, as you can see, we implemented the triple helix. Needless to say, I'm an alumni here. And so we did research USIU on resilience. We partnered with the Birmingham Southern College. We partnered with Tango International and OCDC partners, of which Cooperative University of Kenya is one of the OCDC partners. And we also partnered with Root Change and piloted a social systems network analysis. From that social systems network analysis, I'm happy to tell you that what the movement was saying is that whenever they need information about cooperatives or about what they need to do, they'll go to the State Department or they'll go to the county government. And so please know that you're an information resource and hub and work on seeing how you can make sure you're disseminating information as you go. And so by the numbers, this is how we have performed as CLEAR program. I'm sharing the numbers as we're in our sunset phase of the CLEAR program in the phase that it is right now. But also looking forward to seeing how our proposals may have been taken and also in response to the requests that had come forward for the work to continue. our donor had challenged us to sensitize at least 25 counties on the policy-making process. We reached 40 through the collaboration with State Department and Council of Governors. 264 of you were trained, and 21 counties have since been supported to draft their policies and legislation at different stages and levels of approval. As you can see from the map, we tried to cover as far as we could go within the little time that we had as a program. We've supported 19 cooperatives in depth, looking at governance, management, membership, production and service provision, and also looking at aspects of digital marketing. And we went to our 10 worker cooperatives, but we also touched on housing cooperatives and a few of our large producer cooperatives, such as Meru Coffee Cooperative Union, Limuru Dairy, and others. Some of the counties and State Department would wonder, why aren't you just paying for everything? Why aren't you paying for the accommodation, the conferencing, and everything? And we kept telling you, we also need to show that the government of Kenya has skin in the game. We need cost share. And so as you can see, through the cost share documentation that you shared with us, you as the government of Kenya have been able to raise up to $500,000 in cost share and leverage. Congratulations. I know it was a steep climb, but please clap for yourselves. That was amazing. And so we've reached 700 organizations using our tools and disseminating them. And over 700 people have been trained on the Gender Equity and Good Governance Guide. And we were deliberate in trying to find the women to train. 42% of them showed up. And looking at the 19 cooperatives, the portfolio covers over 4,000 members. Ladies and gentlemen, that was in a span of 3.5 years. The program did that. But as the government, you're able to scale that further. Moving on to our next slide. We've partnered with many institutions. We gave sub-awards to Democracy at Work Institute and USIU as we were beginning. We've had implementation partners through contracts or co-created activities. Seeing most of them here. We have Cooperative Alliance, Cooperative University, Strathmore University. We also have the Cooperative University of Kenya and our cooperatives. And then also the Kenya Cooperative Development Organizations, which we dubbed KCDO. And this is now, Bwana PS, what you're graduating and you've taken on to scale by inviting more development partners to the table. As part of our KCDO members, we have the International Cooperative Alliance, represented today by Dr. Rose Karemi. Daktari, thank you so much for the continued support and the work that you're doing to scale the work across Africa. Our government partners, this would not have been possible without all of you seated at the front and being at the forefront. Thank you for always being accessible. Thank you for being reachable. Thank you for also guiding, even where we needed guidance along the way. And now as I finish off, cooperatives are locally led. And as one very wise gentleman from the State Department would always tell us, cooperatives tend to move faster than the regulators, but the regulator will be sure to catch up. So cooperatives will continue innovating, and the regulator will need to catch up. And so thank you very much for this time. And even as we deliberate over the next 2 days, we leave you with different resources and tools, and we want to remain in touch with all of you. As the CLEAR program ends, Global Communities is not closing, and there are more programs coming in the pipeline which will be communicated in future. Ladies and gentlemen, asanteni sana.
Thank you very much, Olga, for that broader perspective and those remarks, painting the bigger picture to the results that Dr. Njenga shared earlier. It's my pleasure next to invite Professor Isaac Nyamongo, who is an anthropologist by training and very globally traveled. Professor Nyamongo, as the DVC Cooperative Development Research and Innovation at Cooperative University of Kenya. In terms of institutions, you are our senior in this space at Strathmore and Cooperative University. Karibu.
Yeah, thank you. It has already been demonstrated by the two professors who went ahead of me, and I do not want to follow their example, because they went on and Professor Israel, you can also call you Israel, almost gave us, you know, a professorial lecture. Yeah, so I want to stay very brief. PS, thank you for coming. Bwana Kizito from COG, Daisy, of course the CEO, CAK, Daniel Marube, our host, Professor Israel, and I would say all protocol observed. You realize all the professors who were here were a little confused about protocol. And I think you find that in almost all universities. We are not used to these things. But I just want to say that I am delighted to be here this morning, to be part of this function. Global Communities, who have been a partner of CUK over the period of the CLEAR program from way back in 2019. In fact, the CLEAR program was launched at the Cooperative University. And I remember that day very vividly when we had the governor of Makueni, His Excellency Kivuta Kibwana, who came to officially launch the CLEAR program. And from that time, the university with Global Communities have worked very closely in different activities. We in fact had our first trainings in Machakos, in Kitui, Makueni counties. We followed that in Nandi, Homa Bay, in Kisumu, Siaya, Bomet, Bungoma. We have walked the journey with the Global Communities, and it has been a pleasant journey for us. We are also cognizant of the fact that Global Communities supported the Chipukizi Voice of Drama, which is a youth-led worker cooperative. And we have worked very closely since then. It is domiciled at the Cooperative University of Kenya. But also we have taken this a step further, as already mentioned by Olga. We worked on a curriculum with the Democracy at Work Institute, DAWI, to have a curriculum on worker cooperatives. And we have already had cohorts that we have trained. And one of the things as a university that we'd like to do is to find a way of having that curriculum within our programs, so that it is not left behind once the program comes to, the CLEAR programs comes to a close. So we would like to, so we are looking at issues of sustainability. How do we sustain it? And we think that one of the ways is to have that mainstreamed in our programs. So the forum that we have today, I think for me is an important milestone. We are coming to what I might call a rite de passage. I'm an anthropologist, you are told. A rite of passage is that important period when one transitions into something else or into a different phase. So we are coming to a point at which we are looking back and saying, okay, what have we been able to achieve over time? What is it that we can actually do going forward? And I want to thank everyone who has been involved in this process, from way back in 2019. In fact, the steps started in 2018, but the official launch was in 2019. And as a university, I would want to say that the Cooperative University of Kenya is really, really excited to have been part of this journey and to be also part of this forum. And we look forward to new ventures as we turn the leaf of the CLEAR program. So thank you very much, and we are looking forward to engaging further.
Thank you very much, Professor Nyamongo. Moving forward, I'd like to invite Bwana Daniel Marube, who's the Executive Director and CEO of the Cooperative Alliance of Kenya. Bwana Marube has been a big champion for a cooperative policy across the various actors in government at the national and cooperative level. Karibu sana, Bwana Marube.
Thank you. We are so skewed to that side, and the podium, I'm facing this side. Our PS, all protocols observed. Good morning. Is it morning or afternoon? Good morning. Let me see, how are you? Greet your neighbor on my behalf. My name is Daniel Marube from the Cooperative Alliance of Kenya. This is the apex organization representing the entire cooperative movement in this country. Our core mandate, among others, is advocacy, lobby and advocacy. Our role is to ensure that the national government and the county governments, when they are enacting the policies and regulations that touches to the cooperative development, we ensure that those regulations, those policies are conducive and facilitative in nature so that they don't suffocate the growth and advancement and innovation within the cooperative sector. In this regard, I want to say that the CLEAR program came in quite handy. As you all know, the 2010 Constitution created a new environment whereby we had 47 county governments who were given new mandates by devolving functions, of which cooperatives was part of that devolved functions. We had two challenges. Number one, the functions were devolved, but the resources were not available. Number two, county governments were new. They were looking for space. The governors were looking for people to put in office. And apparently most of the people who were put in initially did not have knowledge on cooperatives. It depended on political alignments, you know, who supported who. And it was not extremely very clear what were the roles of the national government and what were the roles of the county governments. So from 2010 to date, when we are about to conclude this process, if you look at it now, we need to relook at that policy, isn't it? It has already matured. Circumstances have changed. Political environments has changed. We have another, I think the third president now. The focus has changed. The people who were there from the time we were drafting the first policy are not in government. So it's very dynamic. We are in extremely dynamic environment. It's changing every day. When we started this process, we discovered that the county governments had gone slightly ahead of the national government. We found Meru County had already done a policy, and the bill was going to the county government. It was not in tandem with others because they said we are devolved and therefore we own Meru County, for example, and then everything else was oscillating around it. So we took a journey to make sure that even though we are 47 counties and the national government, the cooperative movement is one. We are a movement, we are one, we are a people. Cooperatives is about people coming together to solve their problems, to minimize poverty, and bring food and nutrition on the table of its people, and create wealth. And therefore, for us to be united and to be one as a cooperative, we needed to sit down together, national government and the county governments, and have a clear distinction of roles. What is the national government? What is the county government? How can we synergize? Remember, some counties had already started to create their own register. You develop, you register cooperative society, and you keep the register of your own. We almost had several counties having registering cooperatives with similar names. But we came together to agree that the national government is important, very critical, because even though we are 47 counties, we are a united nation. We are one. We are one country. We are one. We are one people. So I think we got a lot of support from CREA program. We want to recognize also the support from that we got from other partners. The initial person was NCBA Clusa. Remember, the cooperative department, it was a department then. It was not a ministry, as we are at the moment. There was no funding. So we were trying to collect funds from cooperatives and friends to make sure that we spoke together. I'm so thankful and grateful that so far, that process that you supported through all the regional meetings, giving us the technical support, has gone very far. I'm sure the PS will tell us the progress that we have made. We had the policy done, a sessional paper. We have the bill that was heavily debated. It has gone through the process. I'm sure the PS would tell us how far we are. But now the journey is starting. Once the bill goes to Parliament and it becomes an act of Parliament, we will be having the biggest task of ensuring that we have the regulations to operationalize the bill so that it can be a working document. That is where we would need support from various actors, from various minds, so that we can be able to actualize the end product that can be able to help us to move forward. So far then, I want to support once again and thank the CLEAR program for the support that you gave us together with the NCBA Clusa, that we could not be where we are at the moment without your support. Number two, we want to say that this being a process and not an event, that we will need to work together. Circumstances change every day. Political alignments change on a daily basis. Prioritization of the activities keep on changing. Even us, by the time we live here, we will have changed. And therefore, we need to work together and support each other. And remember the policy, the policy and the bill has given a new realignment of the cooperatives that will be working along the value chains, so that we can support and create jobs along the agricultural value chains, along the worker cooperatives, along the renewable energy cooperatives that we need to do, medical cooperatives. So there is going to be a clear, a big area that we need to go. And finally, I want to say that digitization has been an impediment to the growth of cooperatives. But at the moment, we are focused to ensure that we digitize our activities, our operations in our cooperatives, so that we can ensure financial transparency and accountability. And you seated here will be the people who are managing the leadership, the governance issues of cooperatives. We need to be in control. We need to go ahead and ensure that when the elections are being done, they are properly done, and that the members' voices are being heard, and that you will be the supervisors of all the cooperatives that are activities that take place in your county. And therefore, as we move towards the journey of digitization, Cooperative Alliance, as part of its mandate, we have moved ahead. We now have a shared core banking and digital platform which will be available and affordably to all cooperatives. Shared platform, easy to access, continuously upgraded at a minimal price, because we need all the big circles, the medium cooperatives, the smaller cooperatives, access technology, because cooperatives, when we enter into technology, that space, we are assured that in the next 20 years, every Kenyan will belong to a cooperative society. I promised that we will handhold the worker cooperatives, and I'm pulling them to the national level. We will ensure that we preserve them a seat in the national level where decisions are being made, because we see opportunities in the worker cooperatives as one of the ways that we will be able to create jobs to the young people through different disciplines. I have assured them that those worker cooperatives in technology who will come together, the guys who have done ICT, and they are out there to form a cooperative, and we have opportunities for them to support over 28,000 registered cooperatives. We need their services. That is one of the areas that we can be able to assure our people the future. God bless you, Oakland, your team, for the support you have continued to give us, and that the cooperative movement will remember the clear program for the support they have given us in the areas of ensuring that we have a national policy now ready. We have the bill that was heavily debated. It's now it's in the hands of the PS, he will tell us, and that the next level now is to operationalize it. And may God bless you. Thank you very much indeed.
Thank you very much, Bwana Marube, for that in-depth perspective on the bill and all the activities surrounding it. I'll request the participants just to stand briefly and stretch. We've been seated for a while. For those who need to use the restroom, it's to my left. I'll ask all the all the guests here just to turn to your right. There's a building colored, we call the Oval Building. If you need to use the restrooms, you can make your way there and you'll find the necessary facilities. All right, we can sit down. When I handled the module on an introduction to public policy, the process, one of the key conversations was around a window of opportunity. And we've gotten to that part of the program where we are discussing that window of opportunity. We'll hear from 3 individuals. I've gotten a request from the CC Nyeri to allow the director committees to capture her remarks now, and she'll speak a little bit later. We're going to hear from the President's Economic Transformation Office, and then we're going to hear from the Council of Governors, the Director of Committees, and then we'll finish off with the keynote hearing from the Principal Secretary. So without much ado, it's my pleasure to invite Madam Daisy B, who's the advisor on cooperatives, for cooperatives, within the President's Economic Transformation Office. Karibu sana, Madam B. It's an honor to have you here with us.
Thank you very much. Our peers, our vice chancellors present here, my colleagues from the Ministry of Cooperatives, from the University of Kenya, Cooperative University of Kenya, CAK, and our members from the counties and all protocols of serve. Good morning. Good morning once again. I think it's a pleasure for me to be here today and standing before you. This is Daisy from the President and Economic Transformation Secretariat. I'm glad that you have this moment today with CLEAR. Bwana Piers, Maybe they never told you that I was one of the 264 that attended the program, or PPMP. I have a certificate, a very beautiful one. So thank you, and much appreciation to Global Communities, USAID, and Strathmore. That was the time that COVID really hit. And we had to do this. And my colleagues that who are with me are here. Where are they? The three guys from Bomet County? Yes. I'm glad to be here today. I've been in this sector for quite a while now. I think it's about 14 years. We've been looking at so many other things. But today I stand representing one office that maybe everybody will really want to hear what is it all about. I think it's the first time that you are having the presidency, and the reason is what I'm going to tell you right now in a few minutes without wasting much time. So I want to appreciate the fact that we are here to look at the agenda, and we are looking at cooperatives as one of the pillars that this government have decided that you are going to drive and build the economy through cooperatives. And on issues to do with policy, if we look at the traditional way on how cooperatives have been managed, there are so many other challenges. And at this Office of Transformation Economic Secretariat, we tend to unlock the challenges that are facing this sector, and not to implement, but support the implementers. So we've been working closely with the Ministry of Cooperative. Thank you, Panapias, because you're presenting that office, and Wanjohi. We've been working with other partners and other sector players on this. So today, I just want to appreciate this policy action that you're having today, even if we are moving close to this program. But I want to appreciate the fact that when you are closing this program, something has happened. There is a transformation that has taken place. So the team that is leading this, just know there is a transformation that has taken place. We are not the same like the way before. We are not running cooperatives the way we were doing. We have seen the challenges that you are trying to unlock now. Marube have mentioned that the bill is in the hands of the peers. It's one of the agendas that you are looking at when it comes to transforming cooperatives. Traditionally, I want to mention just one thing. The reason why this office exists in the office, and the reason why we are working closely with the ministry, is we want to give confidence to Kenyans that the agenda that we are presenting, that is the better agenda. We call it the bottom-up economic transformation agenda. It is bottom-up because it is starting with the vulnerable people. It is starting with the marginalized. It has to begin there. And how are we going to do it? So we want to instill that confidence. And by doing one is what you're doing today. How are we going to change these areas that has really affected this sector for quite a while? And the people in this room have the answers. We are looking at production. Where is production beginning? When cooperative were developed, are we doing the right thing? In our devolution areas, in our space, are we doing it? Because you're looking at how are we going to expand production. When you talk about transformation, what are those transformation activities that we need to do? We need to shift our mind. Are we really doing that? Or shifting our thinking, the way we do things? We are looking at management. How are we going to solve the issues of governance? We are talking about transformation, transforming cooperatives. How are we going to handle them? How are we going to improve leadership in cooperatives so that we don't do them and we embrace the fact that we are using these to re-engineer the economy of this nation? Policies. Do we have enough legal reforms that support the agenda that the president have put forward that are going to anchor our economic development in cooperatives? Thank you, because you're looking at this process and we are actioning this. The team have already told us. We have looked at the policies. We have looked at the regulations. Are they sufficient now to transform the cooperative sector? Are the policies sufficient? Maruba has talked about digitization. It is one of the key things that transformation want to embrace. digitization of cooperatives. We are looking at this level where we have the last mile person at the cooperative. These are at the ward level, the county government people know, where we meet these people. Have we digitized? Do we have enough data that give us information that will help us make decisions when we want to transform the cooperative sector? Digitization, which is very key. We want to transform our thinking and the way we do things. You're looking, the main agenda for the bottom-up, we have only about 5 pillars, and that has 0 in, and it has made cooperative an enabler on this. We're talking about food security. It's in the Sustainable Development Goals of our nation. Food security. How are we going to leverage on cooperatives to support this? How are we going to leverage on cooperatives to increase production on agriculture? How are we going to build institutions at the local level that will provide employment so that it can increase income opportunities to our bottom members of the pyramid? We are looking on MSMEs, these small businesses. How are we going to leverage them so that it can really foster the economy of this nation? How are we going to bring them together? We are looking on this. What are the challenges? Is it financial inclusion? Where are we lacking behind? How are we going to transform our economy? So for the MSMEs and for the people at that bottom of the pyramid, are they lacking training capacity? Are they lacking information? So what are we going to do about it? That is the agenda that we have in BETA. We are looking on housing. How are we going to transform? I'm happy because of the worker cooperative that were championed by CLEAR program, and that is one of the transformation agenda we are looking at, where members of the worker-owned cooperatives are the ones who are owning the management, owning the incomes, owning the profits, owning the decision-making of their cooperatives. So when you're looking to housing, what are we going to do? Are the members of that society going to be the one giving us this service, giving us this opportunity, taking us to decent kind of living places, taking us to decent kind of pay? So we are looking at so many areas, even including the digitization and creative economy, the Chipukizi team. I think it is one firstborn child that we need to do a lot on that sector. And we are so grateful because of that team, and also the pioneers that led this team. Creative economy. We have so many creative people in our nation, and we want to bring them on board. And we are going to use cooperative as a vehicle to bring this. So going forward, we have talked about cooperatives. It's not a new thing. It was there before our time, and even the time of our forefathers. What transformation agenda are we looking at? The health of the cooperatives itself. We've seen cooperatives going through challenges. We have had cooperatives which were once giants and now they are not seen anywhere. Why? We know we fail to look at some aspect of the areas where they were doing their activities or their business. So we want to look at the health of those cooperatives in terms of membership, in terms of saving. Cooperatives can never stand if we don't finance them. Do we have sufficient members at the society? Do they have sufficient information or training or capacity? At the county level, do we have sufficient technical assistance for the cooperative? That is what you're looking for in this period, and you are going to impact on that. And thank you because you have a plan on that. Our former speakers that have spoken, Dr. Njenga is working on something together with the Strathmore University to ensure that these counties, in every ward, we have a technical assistant. We are working together with the ministry. We have a plan that we're going through value chains because we are taking this through a value chain approach so that we have the technical assistant at the lower level so that this time round, we are not leaving cooperatives without any assistance. We are not leaving cooperatives without financing. We are not leaving cooperatives without accessing even the health. We need health cooperatives. We need members of the society to be healthy. so that they can do their activities without any issue, so that they cannot use their capital to use in other ways, but to focus in development, so and then earning for their living. Transformation is something that we cannot ignore. And I appreciate the fact that CLEAR has given us this. For quite some time now, counties have gone through this, and I'm happy because even the ones that we do not reach, we have the ministry here. And once it is done, we have the Council of Governors. We are not only talking about 25, and you are looking at 47. So how are we going to stage gate? We want to look at activities. We want to graduate these cooperatives so that when we exit as a partner, when we exit, cooperatives are independent institutions. They are not government institutions. They are very distinct in their role and how they play. But we are using them as a vehicle to enhance the economic activity that we do. So when we leave, when I'm not there, when Strathmore will not be supporting them, how are they going to be? We want to build resilience in this cooperative society. We want to build resilience in the members. We want to ensure that they stand. They can, on their own, can access finance so that they can upgrade. If they are producing, so that they can add value. If they are adding value, so that they can market. So we want to build that resilience in the cooperative society. We want to build resilience whereby they can do their own digitization work. They can access information real time. I've said cooperatives membership mainly are marginalized groups or the vulnerable groups. But we want this is the target group that we are targeting to improve our economy in Kenya. We want them to have that real-time information, real-time feedback on what they produce, what they sell. This is one way of encouraging them to do and do them more. We all know the challenges that this cooperative are faced. They were once flourishing, and nowadays we don't hear about them. Reason? Others are flourishing, nowadays we don't hear. At some point they faced some obstacles along the way. And it could be very minimum or very minute that it was something which was possible for us to unturn so that they could get a leeway and stay and sustain and stay sustainable. So we are looking at these sustainable strategies that are going to build our cooperatives, and one of them is when we change the policy, when we provide finance for them, when we ensure that they can access all the services that they need to develop. We want to build very strong hubs. These are business hubs that will run on their own, whereby they can finance for themselves, whereby they can build on their own. We want to see hubs that can transform a normal commodity to something else so that they can get value for their investment. I want to appreciate the support that you have had starting from our Ministry of Cooperative. Thank you, Bwana Piers, because during the launch of the bottom-up agenda, you have never failed to support us and support the cooperative members. The CUK, Cooperative University of Kenya, they have been with us, and at some point we have taken a lot of analysis on what CUK is doing. Professor, you're just on the right path, and this is the transformation you're talking about. I'm glad today we are here with Strathmore University, and we know the agenda that you're working together. We are moving to counties. I think Professor mentioned about Busia, Bungoma, because you are taking a value chain approach. So if it is a value chain approach within the economy of this country, we are aggregating the members of the society at the cooperative level. And this approach is where we need your technical assistance. This is where we need support from other partners and other investors. And also we want to appreciate the fact that our actors along the chain, that is the county government, have gone to implement this. We are no longer talking about how we are going to do. They are already doing it, our peers. And you are glad that this is happening. And also with your leadership, we are coming up with a cooperative strategy, which is ongoing. And I know the next stage is to finalize and then we launch it. So we really appreciate that. So without much ado, I want to stop there because I know we have another plenary session, but I want to appreciate everyone for attending this and also for giving us the opportunity so that we can come and share all this. Thank you very much and may God bless you.
Thank you very much, Madam Daisy B, as well as the Bomet team. You will recall in December 2020, along with Nakuru County, Tana River County, Bungoma County, and the Council of Governors, you had to prepare your briefings. I don't know if you remember some of the ideas you had at that point. For your team, along with Dr. Sigei, who I believe was the one that presented on your behalf, issues of governance were key. So it's a pleasure to see that you have continued in that spirit and feel very welcome at Strathmore. And I'll use that as a segue to invite Director Kizito Wangalwa, who looks after matters committees within the Council of Governors. Karibu Sana, Director, and you are able to speak on behalf of the various county governments represented here and a link to national government. Karibu Sana.
Thank you, thank you. Thank you, moderator. Bana PS, karibu sana. It's glad to have you here. Our host, DVC, and the faculty of this institution, colleagues from the county governments, and all other institutions present. Good morning. First, I had some notes, but after Olga made a presentation, I decided to redraft my notes because she made the totality of what I wanted to complement the program for having done over the last few years. So, should I not be as coherent as I am usually, please blame Olga for that mistake. And just for beginners, I want to recognize the CECs who are here. I'm aware there are at least two. Please just rise wherever you are. The CECMs, asanteni sana. Thank you. Thank you, Waziri Kendi. At least I can notice Kendi. We have worked with her for a fairly longer time. Any chief officers who are here, county chief officers who are here, please rise. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Karibuni tena. Any county directors for cooperatives who are here? Asante sana. Thank you. And karibuni tena. By the way, should that team leave, this hall will be empty. So basically, we are having a conversation with the reality of the people who are running the cooperative sector, the devolved governments. I wish at one time I was a student here. When Professor Kamau Wasola spoke, I really felt touched that we speak about so many things, but we just do things in a different way. We are talking about climate change, we are talking about the use of renewable energy, we are talking about everything, but we are still complaining that the bills are high. I'm glad to hear that all this is solar, you know, all this, the lighting and everything is solar. How I wish that would be the way it is. But I'm an alumnus of the University of Nairobi. And in the policy conversation, having attended the class, we had 3 years then, not 4. 4 caught up later after I had left. The 3 years in the university, I never had, in the economics class, which I attended for 3 years, I never heard about sub-national governments. We only talked about micro and macro. We talked a lot about the GDP, full employment, production, and income as the three main variables that constitute GDP analysis. So when I went to the Public Service Commission shortly after graduation, I was sent to Kwale district as an assistant district development officer. I had never heard about that office, first of all. But now we had to ensure that the county development plans and everything are done. Many years later, I ended up in the Ministry of Local Government as a senior economist, and now I started seeing the realities of a structure called a sub-national government, a local government, and what it is and what it's supposed to do, and the different formations, the Kenyan formation, the South African one, the Ugandan one, the American one, where you have even the federal systems. Fast forward, we were reviewing the County Governments Act to introduce a direct election of the chairpersons of county councils and direct election for mayors. In parallel, there was a constitutional debate happening. And that debate, there was the Bomas conversation, and my brother, the legal officer, Bob, is here. They spent many nights in Bomas, and we have a new constitution. Having been a student of decentralization, working as in the districts and the local government system, I really believed that this must work. So I started my journey in 2009, even before the constitution was done, to become the governor of Busia. I ended up deputy governor. I never became governor because I thought I've worked in these counties. I have worked even in Busia as a DDO. People know me. They will come and vote for me. After they vote for me, mimi nikaenda nominations. And in the nominations, I actually won the election, but I was never announced the winner. I was never announced the winner. So first, by the time I came to Nairobi now, to console myself, now what do I do next? The one who had been announced the winner was actually in my house. He came before me, telling me, Bana, usiende, usiende, I want you to be my deputy. So I accepted, because I wanted to serve my people. Now, many years later, my senator, who was the person who gave the constitution to the president to sign, Amos Wako, he ran for senator. He was not supporting me for governor because he was supporting my competitor, because he wanted to be senator, and we come from the same area. There's no way he would have both come governors and senator from the same area. Many years later, he told me, if I have made any mistake in my legal advice, is to have run for senator and not supported you to become governor. I would either have run for governor myself or supported you to run for governor. I'm saying that because at that time, the AG, and he actually told me that even some of his peers in parliament then, Governor Orengo now, former Governor Kiraitu Murungi, Governor Anyang' Nyong'o, all of them agreed as senior lawyers, state councils, we are going to the upper house. And they all went to the upper house. So those of us who wanted to work in the villages are the ones who went for governor. But for me, I convinced myself that if I don't become governor now, it is going to be extremely difficult for me to become governor after 1 term or 2 terms. Watu watakuwa wamejua mchuzi ya kuwa governor, and therefore it will be so competitive, and I didn't have the financial muscle to fight in the future. So, what I'm alluding to is this. Even in this devolved space, it is not in everybody's mind, even in these conversations that we have, that we actually understand how county governments run. We don't. We have assumed sometimes that county governments are made of a little inferior beings, and therefore some things must remain at the center, and then we give them what we think they should do, not what the Constitution says that we assigned to the county governments. When we assigned the county government's roles, what needed to be done is, who are these people doing those things? What are the facilities being used to do those things? How much resources, public resources, physical, financial, and others, technical, doing that thing? Take them to the counties to do that thing. Take them. All of them. But in some spaces, we took the people, we never took the money. We took the people, we never took some facilities. We took the people, or we didn't take the people, but we took some money. Fast forward, around this time last year, the president favored me with an appointment to be a member of the Presidential Working Party on Education Reforms. I can tell you, when we went to the field, people were saying, the ECD teachers were complaining, we are not being paid like other government officers. Oh, now. So the immediate interpretation would be that these people are complaining. Those of the VTCs do not even have a scheme of service. Take these things back to national government. I spent many, many hours sitting with members of the party to make them even understand how money left to go to the counties. That in 2013, for the whole ECD sector, there was only 2 million shillings for the whole ECD sector. So the truncation that was being done, agriculture, what is the payroll? Iende kwa county. Cooperatives, how many officers are there payroll? Iende kwa county. Blah, 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 iende kwa county. ECD, there was not a single teacher, not even one, employed by the government of Kenya. So there was nobody deployed. Vocational training centers, which were earlier on called village polytechnics, which were christened to youth polytechnics, now VTCs, there was nothing. There was not a single trainer employed by government. So no money went. So when now you get the consolidated fund, right now 385 billion shillings has been sent to county governments. They should be able to employ teachers, ECD teachers, VTC teachers. It was never costed. You know, I can tell you, Prof, that your peers, because we had a lot of professors in the working party, were in shock that in the formula of assigning resources to county governments, education is not one of the variables. There is poverty, there is land size, there is population, there is everything. Education is not one. health is there. So I ask them now, where do counties get money, therefore, to pay for the ECD teachers? So the policy conversation, what I'm alluding to is that the policy conversations that we undertake, let's listen to the actors on the ground. The information that they have, the realities of what they are going through, we might not even be visualizing them as we prescribe some of these policy reforms. We put together regulations and we ask them implement. We ask them to implement without having taken care of some of the fundamentals that were needed to have been put in place. The cooperative movement, as rightly mentioned, is not a government entity. It's a private sector. You are talking of individuals coming together. Have we redefined our role as government in the affairs of private citizens? We really need to have further clarity on redefining our role as government in the affairs of private citizens. How does the CBK, for example, regulate the banks? That could be the example we would be using. Do we have the systems to know what is happening on a day-to-day basis with the cooperators, with the cooperatives? Or is it that occasional encounter with their books of accounts? That's very occasional encounter. Maybe once a year. So what has happened over a full year? And is that all that they need, therefore? Is it about the finances only? Or is there a lot more that the cooperators therefore need in terms of support and assistance and guidance from the government for them to thrive as private entities that are regulated by government? So, colleagues, while thanking the USAID CLEAR program and global communities and her partners in putting us together, facilitating this policy dialogue, we are aware that in addition to all the benefits that we have received, it has not been a straight journey. It's back and forth, but that is part of the policy conversation to provide clarity of the actors on who does what is priority, what needs to be accelerated. You have really helped to move us up to where we are, and we look forward to continued cooperation to support the growth of the cooperative movement. Finally, as we do this, every county develops a county integrated development plan. As usual, when we went in 2013, when we went in, there were no guidelines. No, every county did its own thing. Guidelines have been following what counties are already doing. But as we do that, in the trade sector, what data do we have? How do we manage that data? Where is it hosted? How do we know that we have been making progress over the last 5 years in the cooperative movement, in the trade movement, in the aggregation issues? What is the relationship between the cooperative movement now that you're speaking about and the CAIPs, the county aggregation and industrial parks that we are launching virtually every day. Today the launch is in Mombasa. Do we have an ongoing conversation between the cooperative sector and how then there shall be an uptake of the investments being done in the county aggregation and industrial parks? Madam Daisy did speak about the value chains that we are developing. What is the conversation going on between the cooperative sector and the agriculture sector and the trade sector to have one intervention that is synchronized within the county government? How come, as government, we are still seeing other formations of people coming together to participate in trade outside of the cooperative movement? The beach management units, where are they registered, for example? The BMUs, they are facilitating trade. Fisheries trade. They are registered, I don't know, by another act of parliament altogether. How can we continue further consolidation of a good model that has worked and we use it across sectors, be it the fishermen, be it in agriculture, associations in agriculture, be it, why should we postpone and start inventing other models when we have a good model that is working, the cooperative model? And I think that, Madam Daisy and PS, is a conversation I would want you to also help catalyze within the national government conversations, that this silo approach sometimes postpones benefits to the people. We try models and things, and we don't use what we already have. As we speak today, for example, on the CIDP, we are just saying, how do we even know that the targets that the bottom-up economic transformation agenda has are going to be achieved? We are right now helping the county governments on indicator, development of an indicator handbook so that they know they are able to track different indicators of progress within the different sectors. So a majority of the counties have started off that process to now just develop. So within your sectors, again, we may be reaching out to you to ensure that you have very specific indicators of progress, milestones within your CIDP that you are able to track over the 5 years. And in all that conversation, statistics is a very difficult thing within counties. It depends on whom you ask. If my brother Odaba here from Busia is the one you ask, he might give you a different figure. If I ask his CEC, he might give me a different figure. If I ask the economic planner within the county, they might give me a different figure. So we are even just trying to model how can we also have a county statistics bureau where all data within a county can be consolidated. You have an act of parliament, of your county assembly that provides for the county statistics bureau, and therefore an instrument where data is harnessed and managed, and it is credible data that can be used in this country. Otherwise, I want to thank you and affirm the availability of the Council of Governors to continue this conversation. I thank you.
And Bwana Nyamwanga, I'll request you to do us the honor of inviting the Principal Secretary to make his remarks. Karibu.
Great, thank you, thank you. And with that, I want now to invite my brother, PS Patrick Kilemi, to come and give us his keynote address. Karibu Bwana PS.
Thank you. I must confess he spoke very well. Bwana Kizito, asante sana. the leadership of Strathmore University, the leadership of the cooperative movement, the organizers of this event, distinguished guests, all protocols observed. Good morning. It's actually almost afternoon. It's a big pleasure to be here. When we came into government, I was wondering why cooperatives, I didn't know much about cooperatives. And I want to acknowledge the help I've gotten from one lady called Olga. She has been a constant feature in everything I've done. The passion she has for the movement is amazing. I didn't know that it is possible to actually have passion for something like that. This worker cooperative, me, I learned that thing from her for the first time. And we must talk about the worker cooperative every time we meet. I'm honored to address you today as we gather here for the public policy making process learning forum here at the Strathmore University, an event organized in collaboration with the Council of Governors. And thank you, the county government, for coming up in a big, big way. Today's forum underscores the importance of inclusivity, inclusive and participatory policymaking in our democratic society. It's a statement of our commitment in enhancing policy landscape that governs cooperatives and, by extension, our nation's development. This forum arrives at an opportune juncture, coinciding with the culmination of rigorous policymaking endeavor within the cooperative sector. In recent years, both the national and county government have been in the process of development policies to align with our constitution and incorporate the latest standards in governance and management in the cooperative movement. Notably, we have the National Government Policy Review Process, which culminated to the session paper number 4 of 2020, which focused really on cooperative policy for promoting cooperatives for socio-economic transformation. The session paper introduced a comprehensive range of interventions encompassing legal and institutional reforms and capacity building for officers and cooperatives. It is encouraging to see the progress and the tangible outcomes. The big one being, of course, the bill, which, as said, it was slated for cabinet and for onward transmission to parliament for enactment. At the county level, many jurisdictions have also taken commendable steps by developing their specific policies and legislation, while others are actively engaged in the process. Throughout these policymaking endeavors, I've garnered a lot of insight into the complexities of the process. It is a journey marked by lengthy deliberations that involve an array of stakeholders with diverse, and I must stress, very diverse interests. The overarching goals have always been inclusivity, ensuring that all voices are heard and the resultant policies truly serve the broader community. I wish to emphasize that the policy-making process is not for the faint-hearted. It is a deliberate and a painstaking undertaking. And to prove that, it has taken us, since 2010, when we started this process, almost 13 years to have the bill where it is now. However, it is through such meticulous collaboration that we navigate the intricate web of interests and aspirations, ultimately forging policies that will shape the future of the cooperative sector. I want to reiterate really that the cooperatives are a powerful instrument for achieving our national development goals. As we deliberate on matters policy today, policy to action, let us always remember that the decisions we make here have far-reaching consequences for the lives of millions of Kenyans who depend on the movement. I look forward to vibrant discussions and knowledge sharing that the promises, the commitment from this forum, we have the kind of impact we really want for our society. Together we can create an environment that allows the cooperative movement to play it really the very rightful role it is supposed to play, as set out more so in the plan, the document we so refer to from this fifth administration. To talk about the plan and to align it with what we are doing here today, policy for action, we need to look at our production structure, we as a country. And why is it important that we are a ministry? When did the president form the Ministry of Cooperatives and MSME? It is true what Dr. Nyanka, you said. What is not true is that it's not the first time I'm here. We came here, I think earlier on in this administration. Actually, we made news. It is in this forum where it was, a statement was made about GMOs. I was here. It is, why was it wise for the president to form this Ministry of Cooperatives? And what you said is true, is that as a department, we were deprived of the resources to play our rightful role. But now come the plan. Where is the cooperatives in the plan? You know we have the 5 pillars. The cooperatives movement is the enabler of the 5 pillars of the 5th administration of this government. Why? It is again because of the structure of our economy. When you go to Kapendo there, you see the opportunity. You know, in Baringo County, just neighboring, in Baringo County, a very vast county, Teate sits in the north. In Baringo County today, we have Baringo Dairy Cooperative. Today it's processing 50,000 liters of milk. It's a brand called Ilo. You know, the challenge we have is that now the counties have to own these value chains. You know, these value chains are devised by the global trends. We need to produce for the market. Everywhere you go nowadays, people are talking about resilience, sustainability. But in Kenya, we have a bigger challenge because we also have the cultural aspect of our people. In Baringo, in Turkana, in Pokot, they love their livestock. They love cows because we know they kill for them. But the question is, how are we as policymakers, how do we direct policies in such a way that the people of northern Kenya can convert that passion they have for livestock to a viable and solid economic action? How can we work with that passion they have for livestock? So, in the plan, we have the leather value chain. You know, we said leather is a byproduct of. We have the beef value chain, and we have the dairy value chains. You see the livestock there? In the 9 priority value chains, the 3 value chains are focusing on livestock. You know, we have the third or second largest herd of livestock in Africa. Are we the third largest in leather value chain? The answer is no. In dairy, we do well. I think we are second. In Africa. But is that the full potential of dairy when Africa is importing 80% of its milk? You know what? The wisdom of the President of the Republic of Kenya to say, let us look at value chains, is that counties now need to look at value chains which they have what we call comparative advantage. Because if you listen to the speech by America's ambassador, Madam Whitman, she said, we have learned something from the COVID-19 and from the war, Ukraine and Russia war, that it is not wise to have a single source of your product. We must diversify our procurement, our logistics. It's such that if there is instability in one region of the world, you are supplied. We didn't know. Everybody now knows that wheat comes from Ukraine. We didn't know that because we import wheat. Counties need to look inwards and say, what do we have comparative advantage? And you know, you have to work with what you have. It's actually a biblical wisdom. When I keep on telling people, when Moses faced challenges coming from leading the children of Israel and they've encountered the big river, he asked God, what do I do now? God did tell him to get a boat. He asked him, what do you have? Even Jesus also, when he was feeding those 5,000 people, what was in the table? He used what was in the table. He didn't give them pizza. He multiplied what was? Oh no, people of Busia, Bwana Kizito, just across the border, there's a thriving palm oil industry. And you hear the president talk about the edible oil value chain. We are spending, 300 billion shillings importing palm oil from Malaysia. When we know the Western Belt, and we can learn, we can pay what's happening across Uganda. Bidco is there. We can grow the value chain, the edible oil value chain, by developing our own palm oil industry in Busia and counties across that belt. Today, in Busia, we have the Mulwanda Ginnery. Bwana Kizito, we went to Busia to launch it, and the farmers came. The average age of the farmer there was 65. Then I got worried because, again, you need to look at diversity and the future of the value chain. Why are our young people not participating in this value chain? And we know we have been given preferential trade by the American government through what is called, everybody knows about AGOA. Why are we not growing cotton in the regions where can the county government say, this is what we have comparative advantage, and it is all over the world. It's comparative, what you have comparative advantage of. When you go to the United States, when you go to Washington, Seattle is the home of Boeing. When you go to California, they have the text there. When you go to Oregon, they do sports. It's a home of Nike. And so are many other states. We need to look at, as county government, you say, what do we have? And that's what I see in North, I see Wajir, I see Mandera, I see Garissa, I see Samburu. We see thriving leather value chains which are able to sustain and give those counties a lot of money. And it is in Meru County where I come from, and I've given this example over and over again. The farmers are organized through a cooperative called Meru Central Cooperative. They own a brand called Mount Kenya Milk. You see it in the supermarket. Last year, their turnover was 10 billion. It was 2 billion more than the national government remitted to the county government. It is possible if we look at what we can do within what we have, within the passion of our people, we can transform this country. And that's the essence of the bottom up. I can talk about these things, policy to action, but I think the issue now is, now that we know, we think that we are narrating our policy very well. Our policy is aligned with the government agenda, the bottom-up economic transformation agenda. Now we need to look at the action base. How can we, in Kwale is getting the same rainfall as Kitale. If you plant an acre of maize in Kwale, it is likely to give you more bags than in Kitale. But you know what? Because people in Kwale go to the ocean and come with a big tuna catch, the land is idle. When you fly over Kiambu, you fly over Muranga, you see a house, but next to a house you see an animal shed. You see economic use of the land. When you fly over Siaya, Migori, you see a house and nothing. How can we tell the people it is okay to go to the lake and get fish. But also we learned something from what we have learned from COVID and Ukraine. Let us have a diversified income portfolio in the household, so that if you go to the lake and there's no fish, the cow gives you milk, you get something. If the cow gave milk, you have a small backyard where you are planting your maize, you are not being the ugali. It is sustainability at the household level that will make sure that we have enough to take to the county, aggregation, and industrial parks. That is what we can transform. Because again, what we have learned is that it is not possible for the 4 million of us who wear ties and have jobs to carry the rest of us. We estimate that 24 or so million Kenyans are within that age bracket of working. 4 million are employed or informal employment. What about the others? We need to have all the hands on deck. Again, you can think about the impact that you have on our taxation. It is high, we feel the burden because we have few of us who are paying. But if you have more people participating or have more people with their hands on the deck, the taxation basket widens, becomes bigger, it becomes lesser and lesser. I want to thank the university, the Strathmore University and the Cooperative University for what you are doing. We met the ambassador of ambassadors sometimes back with my minister, my cabinet secretary, and we were telling him we want. You know, I want to thank the ambassador for Japan for being bluntly honest. He told us, you know, I'm here to take care of the interests of the Japanese people. There's nothing for free. You guys must look at what you can produce and to interest the people of Japan to come for it. And he told us you need to connect the education system with their production systems. And I really want to thank the president for what he's doing with the TVET, because it is what is happening here at the university that is going to feed the processes we have in the villages to transform this country. I was in America some time back, earlier this year. I called the Uber and I was lucky. I was given a Tesla. Not the small Tesla or a Tesla. But I was wondering, this small car, can it carry my bags? You know, when the driver came, he opened the boot and he opened the bonnet. They are all from the bags. So now I wondered, now this car will move. So I asked him, because he told me this car can do 400 kilometers with the full charge. But I was thinking, if it can do 400 kilometers with a full charge, and in Kenya here we are very tech, very digital, very solarized. What if this roof can charge this car in Africa? As we speak here, my car is fueling out there. What do you think will happen? Ladies and gentlemen, we're in the verge of a new world. I want some of these challenges you are seeing in terms of, again, you're saying climatic, the climatic challenges. Every generation faces its challenge. There is no generation which has come and has ever faced this challenge. Our challenge now is that we need to leave this world in a better shape than we met it because we lease it for future generations. The cooperative movement, where it is it, we own quite a lot of land. In fact, the biggest single landowner maybe after government is the cooperative movement. We need to play our role again in green agriculture, all these things. But as we do that, we also look at again, the challenges of the universities. How do we incorporate technology to help our people meet the challenges we face today? Can I end there? Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Bwana PS. I'll request you just remain standing there. And I'll request Professor Da Silva to join me. We want to thank, we have our traditions here at Strathmore where we appreciate our guests. So a round of applause. Thank you very much, Bwana Principal Secretary, and for joining us November last year during our SME conference, where we were graced by the presence of the CS Cooperatives, SME and Trade. In turn, I'll also invite all our other guests. I'll start with Director Kizito Wangalwa, and I'll request Dr. Njenga to come to the stage. Dr. Njenga, you'll join us at the stage. We'll give a gift to each of the other guests. We'll start with Kizito Wangalwa, asante sana. Pale juu ndio video ishike. Yeah, welcome. Karibu, just join hapo mbele kidogo. This one is the speech. All right. Thank you very much, Director. Asante sana, we appreciate you. Next, we'll have Madam Daisy B. from the President's Economic Transformation Office. Asante sana, Madam B, and also for being our excellent student in Bomet County cohort in December 2020. Thank you very much, Madam B. We appreciate your presence, your support. Tumeshukuru sana. Next, I'll invite Bwana Daniel Marube of the Cooperative Alliance of Kenya. Asante sana, Bwana CEO, for championing efforts in the sector with a focus on the bill. We appreciate you. Thank you very much. And then next, I'll invite Professor Isaac Nyamongo, institutionally our senior in the cooperative sector among academic institutions. Thank you for your remarks and thank you for your leadership in the sector. Okay, actually, if you don't mind, let's get a second photo also. Professor Da Silva, let's actually have the two vice chancellors together. We will do. And this speaks to the partnership among academic institutions. Dr. Njenga, you're in the field also, so you can join a part of that photo. The sector and the academic institutions. Thank you very much for that leadership. And then, finally, Dr. Njenga, you'll just remain there. I'll invite Olga. Olga, so much has been said about your leadership, not only as part of this program, but in the Principal Secretary's own words at the national level and among the county governments as shared by Director Kizito. And for this one, I'll request we actually stand up and give, Olga, you have been mentioned. It's rare this happens. Thank you very much for your leadership. As you do the photo. And I'm proud to mention Olga has been a student here in our Masters in Public Policy. The program is now 10 years old. So thank you very much for your leadership, Olga. Excellent. And then that marks the transition point of the program. So we've had to reimagine the structure of the whole program. Asante sana, Dr. Njenga. I have been guided that from here, we will all proceed to my left. Marianne, who's standing at the back, will be by the door. We are going to head to the law school, the Sir Thomas More building, and we are going to do a group photo. So it's a nice location, and it gives us a chance to take a photo together. So we'll all proceed together, and then we'll come back to behind this building, and we will have refreshments. We are running late, but we have tea. And then there'll be a tree planting where I'll request Professor Israel, Dr. Njenga, the Principal Secretary, to head out together for the tree planting immediately after the photo. And if any of the other senior guests want to be there, you're welcome. You can accompany the group. And then we'll come back here in about 25 minutes to continue with the rest of the program, which we will reconfigure to take into account both today and tomorrow. So thank you very much for this exciting session in the morning. It was good to see so many CECs, COs, and directors. come back, we have an action-packed remainder of the program. So you'll follow Marianne to my left, and will be arranged accordingly by the cameraman. We can raise now and head out to the Sir Thomas More building. You get to see the solar Dr. Kamau Sola was discussing earlier. Karibuni.